In the heart of America's vast Midwestern plains, under a starlit sky in 1952, a Kansas farmer had an encounter so bizarre, so chilling, that it would forever etch his name into the strange annals of UFO lore. But what really happened on that quiet night? Was it a hoax, hysteria, or something not of this world? Narrator. To really understand what happened that night, we've got to set the stage. Picture this: it's 1952, and America is deep in the throes of post-war optimism. Rock and roll is just emerging, families are gathering around black and white televisions, and the Cold War is heating up. But something else is in the air: fear of the unknown. This was the era of flying saucers, government secrecy, and that lingering feeling that we're not alone in the universe. The infamous Roswell crash had occurred just 5 years earlier, in 1947, igniting a cultural obsession with UFOs. People were scanning the skies not just for Soviet planes, but for something else. And in this cultural backdrop, filled with science fiction films, reports of strange lights, and Cold War paranoia, comes one man's story from the quiet plains of Delphos, Kansas. A town so small, if you blink driving through, you might miss it. Our protagonist? A young man named Ronald Johnson, just 16 years old at the time. He wasn't some wild-eyed conspiracy theorist. Nope, Ronald was a down-to-earth farm boy helping his family with their daily chores. He lived with his parents, Dottie and Ernie Johnson, in a modest farmhouse surrounded by cornfields. The Johnsons were well-respected, church-going folk, not the type to seek out attention or stir up controversy. They lived a simple life, until that night changed everything. Location: Delphos, Kansas. Population: barely a few hundred. Just wide open fields, a big sky, and not much else. The perfect place, you might say, for something otherworldly to make contact. It was just after sunset on November 2, 1952. Ronald was outside with the family dog, Snowball, when he noticed something strange hovering near the tree-line. Sound effect: low humming vibration. Ronald described it as a glowing, mushroom-shaped object, about the size of a small car, hovering silently a few feet above the ground. The craft emitted a soft, bluish light and a faint, high-pitched hum, not like any aircraft he had ever seen or heard. Then, as quickly as it appeared, it shot upward, vanishing into the sky in seconds, leaving Ronald stunned, and Snowball barking like mad. But here's where things get really weird. When Ronald's parents rushed outside, they didn't just find a rattled teenager. They saw something real. On the ground, where the object had hovered, was a perfect circle, roughly 8 feet in diameter. The soil was dry, white, and oddly crusty, unlike anything else in the area. Nothing grew there for years. That's right, not weeds, not moss, nothing. The soil seemed dead. They touched it. Ronald's mother later claimed it numbed her fingers. Investigators later confirmed that the ground had been chemically altered, possibly exposed to intense heat or radiation. What kind of machine leaves behind a crop circle that kills the soil and numbs human skin? That's not your average aircraft exhaust, is it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Soon, the story exploded. Reporters, UFO investigators, and even government officials visited the Johnson farm. Among them was Ted Phillips, a well-known UFO investigator and close collaborator with Dr. J. Allen Hynek, yes, the guy from Project Blue Book. Phillips documented the site meticulously and took soil samples. His conclusion? The soil had been exposed to intense magnetic fields and unknown heat sources. But not everyone was convinced. Skeptics argued that the glowing object might have been ball lightning, a rare weather phenomenon, or even phosphorescent fungus. Yep, glowing mold. But how does fungus create a humming noise or scorch a perfect circle into the ground? And more importantly, why would it suddenly stop the family dog from barking for hours, as they later claimed? This wasn't an isolated incident. In the early 1950s, similar reports were cropping up across the U.S., from farmers in Texas to truckers in Arizona. Always the same ingredients: a glowing, hovering object, a scorched or marked ground, sometimes missing time, and always, silence. and eerie, absolute silence. Insert archival clips from the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO flap. And don't forget, 1952 was the year of the Washington, D.C. UFO incident, when multiple unidentified flying objects were tracked on radar over the Capitol for several nights in a row. Coincidence? Or was something, or someone, trying to make contact on a mass scale? Years later, Ronald claimed he may have experienced missing time that night. Could he have been abducted? He never claimed it outright, but he often spoke of a vague feeling that something more happened during those few minutes. Nightmares, flashes of light, strange sensations. And this is a recurring theme in close encounters of the second kind, physical traces left behind, but with psychological effects that last a lifetime. Dozens of similar cases, like the Lonnie Zamora incident in 1964, or the Val Johnson case in Minnesota, have eerie parallels. Craft, light, scorched earth, and confused, rattled witnesses. You might be wondering, what did the U.S. government do about all this? Officially, not much. Unofficially? That's where things get murky. Project Blue Book, the Air Force's official UFO investigation program, briefly looked into the Delphos case, but never issued a conclusive report. Files were redacted. Investigators were warned not to speculate. Conspiracy alert. Could it be that the government knew more than they let on? Or were they just as baffled as the rest of us? Let's speculate for a second. Flying saucer. What if Ronald had walked up to the craft? What would have happened? Would he have been abducted? Given some mysterious message? Or never returned? Imagine you're a teenager in rural Kansas. You see a glowing craft land just feet away. Would you run, or approach it? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you do. The Delphos case is often overlooked in UFO history, but for true enthusiasts, it's one of the most compelling pieces of physical evidence we've ever seen. Because unlike blurry photos or hearsay, this one left something behind. A physical, testable anomaly that remains unexplained to this day. Even now, soil samples from Delphos are cited in scientific circles and UFO research forums alike. And here's the kicker, Ronald Johnson never sought fame. He wasn't selling books. He didn't go on talk shows. He just wanted people to understand that what he saw was real. So what really happened in Delphos, Kansas, in 1952? Was it an alien probe? A military experiment gone wrong? Or something so far beyond our understanding that we don't even have the words for it yet? Maybe the truth is out there, hiding in the soil of a quiet Kansas farm. What do you think happened that night? Was Ronald Johnson visited by beings from another world? Or is there a more grounded explanation we've missed? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments, and if you've had your own strange encounter, share your story below. You never know, you might not be the only one. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Delphos UFO case, hit that like button, subscribe for more chilling encounters, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies. And don't be afraid to ask, what else is out there?